Welcome to Women in Leadership Talk, where you'll hear from successful women who are empowering other women with their stories of adversity, resiliency, and success. And here is your host, Vicki Bradley, founder and CEO of Women in Leadership Empowered.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Women in Leadership Talk podcast. Oh my goodness, I am so excited for my guest to be here today. This woman is a very dear friend of mine, and she has just blown me away again. And I can't wait for all of you to meet Miss Alix Edmiston, or Alexandra Edmiston. She goes by Alix for all of those that know and love her as dearly as I do. Alix, thank you so much for taking time to meet with me today. I know you have a full schedule these days, and we're going to tell our audience why. So welcome.
Well, I am so thrilled to be here, Vicki, and to talk about my news, but you are just the biggest champion of me, and I can't thank you enough. I just can't thank you enough for how much you just are always behind me. Thank you. I always love that women lifting up other women, and you are the queen of that, truly.
Oh, and so are you. So we're a good match.
Yes, I know. We're a dynamic duo.
We're the dynamic duo. So let me give our audience some background as to, why I've invited you on today. I mean, Number one, audience, thank you for being here. We are so grateful. We're being listened to in over 50 countries. So we're super excited that you continue to chime in. And, please let us know how these messages resonate with you. Alix, as I said, is a very dear friend of mine, and I'm just honored and thrilled to have her on the show today. This is a woman who is a corporate communicator. She's been this powerhouse behind some very senior people and organizations doing their corporate communications, very business focused. She also is very empowering and lifting of other women and young women as well, especially in the tech world. So her background is amazing. And this is what I wanted her to come on today and talk about is her new book called The Immortal Secret. So I have that right here.
Thank you.
And her book, why this is so fascinating to me is because Alix has always been a corporate communicator, and her focus is always about how to lift other people, right? How to really showcase who they are. And so this was a big shift in her writing.
Yes,
and so I'm just going to read to you what Book Life Publishers Weekly wrote about this book. It's the perfectly balanced blend of spirituality, romance, and mystery, interlaces with the lessons on the boundary between light and darkness, and weak souls whose energy can be easily drawn to evil, making this as profound as it is action-packed. I've read her book, was blown away. I couldn't stop reading it. And so I'm grateful for Alix to be here today and to share with us, maybe Alix, give us an overview of the book and what really prompted you to take this, labor of love in creating this masterpiece.
It's funny, Vicki, I've always had inside of me, ever since I was a little girl, I always loved telling stories. I have a really super vivid imagination. So when you sit down, I thought, I really, my whole life I've been writing. Like you mentioned, I've loved my career in corporate communications, lifting other people up. Truly, that's where I'm really so comfortable. And now I'm out in front promoting my book. But it's interesting with when you're writing, because I have written my whole life, and my basement is full of either my things that I did as a reporter or just things that I've created, like what I like to call my creative writing. But, it's funny when you sit down, like my mom actually says that everybody should write a book. And I truly feel you should, because it is very cathartic. But one of the things that's really fascinating is you think, wow, that story came out of me, and that's so fascinating. Where the heck did that come from, right? And I think a lot of us would have that aha moment, right? And for me, it was immortality. And I really feel that I've always been fascinated by that. I mean, primarily because I love art. I love Paris. I love going to the Louvre, but really any art gallery, whether it's the AGO or in Toronto, right? And but it's just so interesting because, why am I so fascinated by immortality? And again, like why the whole idea that we're mortal, right? That we're all going on a journey that where we're all going to the same place. So that really fascinated me to explore immortality, particularly now as the planet is graying and we're saying a lot of goodbyes, right? And that's something that I've always been fascinated by. We're always thinking, oh my goodness, what happens next? Why do things happen? That sort of thing. So that was kind of a theme that I was really captivated by. But I also framed it around something else that I'm really fascinated by is that it's just around love and redemption, and all of us in life, you know, to create a great life. And sometimes it doesn't go exactly the way you want. And my character, Benjamin Mann, of course, I made him a curator at the Louvre because I love the Louvre. But, he's a man of privilege, but it's, he's really struggling in his life. And as what's so sad in life, and again, we don't understand why, he gets cancer.
Mhm.
And then he's 40 years old. And once he is finished his treatment for cancer, he finds out his grandfather, this eccentric captain of industry, CEO, head of a gold company, founder of a gold company, has disappeared. And this is really, truly the most important person in his life. So he sets out on this quest to find out what happened to his grandfather. And the biggest clue is the immortal. And that's where the fantasy side of it comes in, because hidden within the portrait is something that sets him off on this journey to Paris, to Istanbul, to Venice, and the Sinai Desert, like all my places I love. I love to travel. So it really is that mystery that's framed around love and redemption and trying to be a better person, right, Vicki? And it's just that. And so that's kind of where he is. And I really hope that readers resonate with the whole kind of fantasy, like this golden book and kind of its magic, right? The golden book that he finds is magic. So we think, oh, what if I had my own magic book? And, but also, it's also framed around a very human story as well. And what I like to call the hero's journey, because Benjamin is in the beginning of book, he's quite different at the end. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. And, I know when we were talking originally about some of the things that inspired you, your book is launching officially in October around
Yes.
Halloween, and that's your favorite holiday of the year.
Yeah.
Maybe talk a little bit about how that influenced and inspired, like some of the history that has inspired you for this book.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, when we all sit down and we say, well, what do I love to read, right? What do I love to read? And for me, it's Gothic fiction. And it's not kind of like that Bela Lugosi or, like Hollywood version. But really, a lot of the Gothic fiction was really fascinating. Like the picture of Dorian Gray was all about society mores and how we're judged, and wanting to have needing to be this beautiful person that you put out in the world, or whether it was Frankenstein and the whole idea at the time. That was a science at the time that Mary Shelley was looking at, where, can we create man? Can we do God's work, right? And also Dracula, right? Like this is all fiction that has really driven me. And I just loved it, Vicki, because it has something to say, as well as I'm saying about immortality. As you're reading the book, I hope readers think about, yeah, you know what? I mean, what is the whole idea of being mortal, right? As we sit down and think about it, and what do we know, and how can we, there's a lot of spirituality in the book too, as because Benjamin's really, he faced something quite traumatic when he was younger, and it will be dealt with through the book, but he's really lost his faith, right? And so part of that as well is that searching for meaning as well, right? Looking at where we are in our societies, whether it's the 1800s or what have you. I mean, we're still exploring themes within our society, right? And so that really inspired me, and I did want to have a side of it that was kind of fantastical, right? Like to have something magical, because I love that idea of kind of thinking, what if I could have one wish, I was granted one wish, like the Aladdin's lamp. It's a little bit like that in my book. What would it be, right? What would that one wish be? And what would all of us wish for, right? Because there probably would be so many things, right, Vicki? But also, what if I could be immortal? What if I was granted immortality, right? That Faustian bargain that, what? We've just, if you kind of take that pledge, you can live forever. And then what would it be like living forever? So I'm exploring that through my character, who is the immortal, and her name is Anna Kletica. She is a nun, and so that's fascinating. Again, it's her living through history as well. So yeah, I just it's when you look at literature and the things that fascinate you, that's really been it for me. Gothic fiction, right? But also loving Halloween because it is a favorite holiday of mine, because we get to explore things like this and just get to explore ghost stories that we all love, like storytelling, like the ancient storytelling, right? Like sitting around and talking to one another and sharing stories and scaring each other. Yeah, exactly. Scaring each other to death.
Exactly. Well, and Alix, as I was reading your book, there were so many things that captivated my attention, and so many stories, so many messages that are woven within the details and the way that you describe the situations. It made me start to step back and think about not just immortality, but also how oftentimes we will judge.
Yes.
And is that really truth about that person?
Yeah.
And love, like you talk about this love that is so powerful within the story. And so there's a lot of messages that you've
Yes.
woven in that really, it keeps your attention, and it also does make you think about your own life, right?
Yeah.
I love that. I love that intrigue and the mystery and the all the different nuances that you've created throughout.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think the seeking truth, Benjamin has decided no matter what, he's going to find out what happened to his grandfather, and his family has told him, we've set out we've engaged the private eyes, we've searched the world, right? We cannot find him. He's not on CCTV, his credit card, there's no trace. But despite all that, he decides to seek the truth. And we all know, Vicki, like secrets within families, right? Maybe you seek that truth because that's a big decision to do that, right? Because you can also find out. I mean, it's definitely closure because you find out what happened to your grandfather, and you may find out that, you may find out that that he did die. But I think it's really interesting to be looking at that, to seeking the truth, because as we make that decision, we just don't know. And you might end up finding out something as you see in families that is something that's very hard to live with, right? So
Exactly.
so he has decided that, but I think he's also decided it because he can't live until he's truly found the truth, right? Because his grandfather is very eccentric and so close to him, but again, he's suffering from a bit of dementia, and he does have secrets. He does have secrets, and some good or bad, because sometimes you find out a secret and it's a really good thing. But I also think it's just that seeking of love, and when we have experienced trauma in our lives, and it has really defined us, right? He's being blessed in that he's able to go out in the search of truth. He finds out things that, again, transform him as well, right? So this whole seeking, going out and search, this helps him find out things as well, right? To delve out, to delve into things, because sometimes we don't want to do that because we're so scared of what we'll find out, right? But that's where he really does rise up and is able to do that. But I feel like, it's like everyone, like as a character, he's always wanted to do good with the fact that he is privileged, right, in his life. But Benjamin has also not had the greatest upbringing. Like as people are rich, they don't have perhaps, it's not just rich people, but, he hasn't had the kind of upbringing that sort of, made him really close with his parents. Right.
Mhm.
So he's a really flawed man. And, I don't know what it is about me, but I always say nobody writes fiction about perfect people. Right. So,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
But
And
there's
so
also a bit of reality too,
I
right?
know
Because none of us
exactly.
are perfect, even though sometimes we think we are. We have flaws,
Yeah.
we have scars, right? And
Yeah.
those scars and flaws help us better navigate the world. And something you touched on there, Alex, I think is super important is this this seeking of truth, and that
Yes.
takes a lot of courage. Um,
Hmm.
there's a lot of uncertainty because you don't know what you're going to find when you go and start asking questions and poking holes, and so no matter what you find out, it's about being true to yourself, right? And
Exactly.
solving that mystery within. That
Yeah.
becomes really important, and I think you've done that beautifully in the Immortal
Thank you.
Secret. Yeah, like it certainly captivated my attention, and this makes a great gift. And we have holiday season coming up, so it would
Yes.
make a great
Yes.
gift for somebody who really enjoys the mystery and the journey of following someone through all these beautiful places of travel, which you've so
Yes.
eloquently articulated. And I really felt like I was popping into Paris or Venice or
Yes.
Istanbul. And so you really have put a lot of creativity and craft into
Thank
creating
you.
the Immortal
Thank
Secret.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. These are some of my favorite places. And I feel like going on that journey, I feel like when people read it, I do love, as we both do, cinema. And I am a cinephile. I just like my most favorite thing. My first job was working in a theater and, making the popcorn. And so this is really something that's in my DNA. So I really wanted to have a story that moved quickly,
Mhm.
right? Like, but still you're on this kind of exciting journey with Benjamin, right? And Josiah, his grandfather. So that was something that I meant so much to me to say, okay, as I'm finishing each chapter, I'm kind of leaving the reader wanting more. In fact, I loved reading this. I did this online masterclass with Margaret Atwood, and she said, if something is not happening on page 10, you got a problem. So it was just so fascinating, Vicki, because again, it's the craft of storytelling, right? And the art of the novel is like you got to keep it moving along, right? So I've really tried to do that, and again, it's such universal themes that I feel like people were relate. I always laugh too because like people would say, that character, that was me, right? Like that was me. Like it'll be interesting if people say, you know what, Cleve, she was me, right? Like I was answer because people always say that. Writers always get that. It's quite funny. But yeah, it's just a story that I hope resonates. But also I love this idea that, what are the consequences? What are the consequences for opening up that book, even touching it, right, Vicki? I
Yeah.
love that too. It's that we all think, oh, should I make a wish? Can I ask for my heart's desire? So
Mhm.
there's also in our lives, and you've seen this a lot in literature, is that the consequence of doing something that's seen as maybe unholy, right? And that's the spiritual side of it as well, is that because my character is pagan, comes from the pagan world and then comes into the Christian world, and that's where Mount Sinai comes in. But it's also, making those choices, right? That may have consequences, right? So
Absolutely.
so people can kind of think about that. Ooh, what would I do? What would I do? What would I do if I was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to shift just a little bit here on, because, it is fantastical to write this masterpiece and,
Thank you,
audience,
Vicki.
well, it's true. And I'll share with the audience, after I read the book, my head was already formulating who the movie stars would be, each of the characters. And it's already in motion in my mind that this will be definitely on screen. Which fits into the love that Alix has for, film and movies. But this was not an easy undertaking. Like, you have spent years working on this. And, I think it's important for our audience to hear, like, this labor of love, like what kept you focused on delivering this? Because it was several years that it took you to write the book.
I think, it did. Yeah, it took me 10 years, and it might have been longer. I'm not sure, Vicki. I don't want to know if it was longer.
No.
But I'm gonna say a decade. And I did have a full-time job, but I think within all of us is someone that wants to come out, right? And the practical Scottish side of me says, no, you cannot be a writer for your living. You cannot be a writer, right? You need to have a practical, which I have a practical job, which I love. I love my job, right? But I feel like there was always something inside of me that needed to come out. And I think that was part of it. And I always joke around too, because I created Benjamin, who won't stop until he finds the truth, but I won't stop until I've completed this book. So I think it's just within me. I was driven in a way that I've never been before. I don't know that I ever will be again, Vicki, but for some reason I was driven that I wanted to write this book. Once you start telling the story, you feel like, and it's, as I look through that, I feel like, I've lost a lot of sleep that I'm not getting back. But yeah, I used to sit there and say to myself, like, you could just stop doing this book, right? You could stop writing, but like, what is more important than doing this for you, right? For you. And that's why for everybody watching and listening, it's like, if you do have that dream inside of you, like, I really feel we have to like leap forward and move forward with it. Because when I picked up my book, like when I picked it up, I just honestly, now I'm going out and promoting it, Vicki, but I really did want to stare at it for a year, right? Like, honestly, I cannot believe I did it. And with amazing people like yourself in collaboration and on the journey with me. But what an incredible feeling. And I would love others to feel that, right? Because I really didn't think this was I just was not sure. I was not sure that I was ever going to get to the end. That's how I feel hard. Obviously there's a lot of hard things you could do in life, but I think writing and creative writing is very hard.
Yes.
And to actually pick it up and be able to, and like it's mine. It's like a thing now. It's a tangible thing. And that's why I reach out, just to reach out to everyone, to just say, if there's something you want to do, I feel like you just really need to do it. And a lot of it, now that I'm promoting it, I'm totally out of my comfort zone because I'm used to promoting other people. But again, that's a great learning for myself as well, right? I'm getting used to it. And, it's a great learning for me as well. Like, I always say getting out of your comfort zone, as you know, Vicki, it does light up an area in your brain, right? Like it is I'm sure it's a pain center and it's painful. It's painful. But
it's also rewarding.
I know it is, Vicki. And like I say, if I didn't write the book, what else would I be doing? Watching Netflix? Not that I do watch Netflix, but watching more Netflix. But you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, I'm just so proud of it. And this is I'll never do anything better, I feel. And putting aside my professional work, because I'm so proud of that. But just personally, I'll never do anything like this again. And I'm so proud of myself. I just think of myself, wow, I did that. Wow. What else could I do?
Well, that's why I bring that up, right?
Yeah.
Because so often we will play small. And especially women, we tend to play small. We put other people in the limelight, which you've done your whole career.
Yeah.
And so,
Thank you.
no, it's true. And so you have now flipped the script,
Yes.
and the resilience it has taken to finish this. I know we talked a little bit about imposter syndrome.
Yes.
How those stories got in your head for a while, like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Who wants to read my book? But you persevered, you stuck with it. And to your point, being able to hold this, touch this,
Yes.
feel this, like,
Yeah.
that's such an accomplishment. And it was a dream that you turned into reality. And I wanted to highlight that with our audience because, and you kind of said this a minute ago, so many of us have aspirations, dreams that we think we're not worthy to bring to fruition.
Exactly.
But yet you're not gifting the world a part of you if you don't do that. And Alix, you have done such an incredible job bringing this to life. And I don't want to hear you say I won't ever do it again, because I'm already waiting for part 2.
Well, I know my editor said you really set yourself up for a sequel. And I said, yeah, but I love what you're saying about others as well. Because as I was alone at night and it's so quiet, the first thing that grips you is like we've talked about imposter syndrome. And you know what? Like, exactly, to amplify what you said, Vicki, like, why shouldn't I write a book? Or why shouldn't any of us go out and reach our dreams? Who says we can't? It's not against the law. Do you know what I mean? But yet we somehow think, why am I doing this? Why would, like, we just, and my biggest advice, and I know yours as well, Vicki, is just get out there and do it, and just silence those voices, right? Because it just feels, what a sense of accomplishment, right? Like, I'm just like, I just can't, I've never been more prouder of myself, right? Like, I went out and I did it, and it's like, good on me, I mean, I remember, like, I just, it's just, you're just so excited with yourself. And again, it's just, you just think, okay, what can I do now? What's the next step now, right? And I just want everybody to feel that, to think that they're working on something, and it's like, do it. Just get it done. Get it done. Please do it. Yeah. Yeah.
Again, it goes back to the risk reward, right? If you don't do it, you're risking bringing a very important part of you to the world. If you do it, look at what you can create. And it doesn't have to be a book. Like, your craft is this wonderful way you're able to articulate and bring it to life. Somebody else, it might be that next career or that transition, or they want to travel. Maybe they've never traveled, whatever it is. But
I know, whatever beautiful thing it is. Yeah. Whatever beautiful thing that they want to do. Like, I just wish we're their champions, Vicki. Like, please just do it. Please just do it. Like, hey, we're not immortal, and life is short. Life is short. So we got to get going, right? Bring your talents to the world, right? Just live it. And, you just need to bring your talents to the world, because other people are doing it. And I always think, I'll say to people who are really talented, I'm saying, there's other people that are doing this. And as far as I'm concerned, I'd love to get it out there and say, get to the back of the line, because Vicki has such talent. She should be at the front of the line.
but that's the beauty of you, Alix. Like, you know what? You're so incredible of lifting others up.
Thank you.
And I'm so excited to have you in the forefront now. And
yes, thank you.
Really recognizing and amplifying your own voice. And so, before we wrap up today, let's tell people, how can they find you? How can they pre-order, or how can they order, where, and about your website?
Yes, well, I do have my own website, and it's just www.theimmortalsecret.com, no apostrophe. So it's immortal. But my book is available, and maybe we could put that in the introduction. It is available on Amazon. It's available on Indigo, Waterstones in the US, and also Barnes & Noble. And then probably as I launch other sites, but and in bookstores as well. But online, it's available right now for pre-order if anyone would like to pre-order it. But yeah, it's out there, and but my website was kind of the home where I can help everyone navigate how to get the book. But definitely I feel so honored. It's on quite a lot of sites and I haven't even launched it yet. So
amazing.
I'm thrilled by that.
Well, you know what? And you deserve every moment of this because it, as I said earlier, it has been a labor of love, and you've brought this beautiful, beautiful masterpiece to life. And, you know, having read the book, audience, like, it is definitely a pick up, read it. Will take you on a journey that is deeper than you expect, and also very whimsical. So, you know, just if you've got somebody special on your list for the holidays, this is a great book to put in their stocking or to give someone. Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you, Vicki.
Alix, thank you for joining us today. This has been, you know, my pleasure to have you on the show, and, you know, just really have you talk about even the lessons that you've learned, because sometimes we get so focused on certain aspects of leadership, and what you're doing now is you're modeling leadership at its finest.
Well, thank you, Vicki. Just that's such a lovely compliment coming from you.
Well, it's all true. And let me just say, audience, thank you so much for joining us. We know you have a choice as to what podcast you listen to. You know, again, we'll make sure that you can get access to Alix's information. Send her a message on LinkedIn or Instagram. If you have questions about the book or something that maybe I didn't ask her today, feel free to reach out, or if you can reach out to me as well. And if you're curious about your leadership and how you're showing up, visit willempowered.com. That's 1L. Take our free leadership quiz. It'll give you a lot of insight as to how you show up as a leader. But we'd love to hear your thoughts on the podcast. Please do share it. You know, that's how we grow. That's how we continue to amplify the voices of so many amazing individuals. So thank you again for being here. And we look forward to hosting you on the next Women in Leadership Talk podcast. Take care, everyone. Thanks again, Alix.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for WIL Talk, sponsored by Women in Leadership Empowered. To learn more about our programs, please visit www.willempowered.com. We look forward to seeing you in our community.